What's going on, guys? It's Sofie Stay Gold and welcome back to my channel. I have a new product that we are going to talk about today. I'm super excited because back when I started with the Babyliss company back in 2016, the X2 clipper was my first Babyliss clipper of all time. Prior to using that tool, I started like most people using Wall and Andis. I made the switch to move to this company. They gave me an opportunity and I couldn't say no. What really made me gravitate towards this brand is that they're a technology company and they're always innovating new things. As an entire crew, we talk about things, we test things out. We have members from all over the US and we kind of put our ideas together to help make the next generation of tools. So today we're talking about the new FX3 clipper by Babyliss Pro. The official launch date isn't actually till September, but we have a pre-exclusive launch where a lot of our members will be, and that is at the CT Barber Expo by J Majors. I believe it's August 14th through the 16th. Not only are we going to be dropping the FX3, but the gold blow dryer and the Babyliss grooming to go bag. So now let's go ahead and look at the new FX3. This is the new FX3. Check it out. There's a couple changes to the housing to make it a little bit more ergonomic and comfortable in your hands. So you have this little groove here, you know, it's for your finger, and also a new thumb rest right here up top. Here you're gonna have your 5 locking detents. Like the X2 had 4. This has been improved to 5. So what that means is when you think of having 4 notches like the X2, because you added one more, which is the 5, it helps you blend in between even better than a 4 locking detent. Now, if you guys remember the X2, a problem that some people were having is that this lever would slip up and down, and that was because if people didn't put on the blade properly and they didn't have this lever all the way down and they were putting the blade on, it would push on that little plastic piece, which then made this lever slip a lot. So what we did with this one is that there's a thumb button here that you have to press down and then move. So it's going to help the lever stay in place and not cause it to slip over time. Then as you move a little bit lower, you have your power button here. This power button all the way down is off. As you go up in the middle notch, this is gonna be your 6,000 RPM speed. And if you move all the way up to the next level up, this is gonna be 7,000 RPM speed. So you have 2 speeds to choose from. And for an example of why you would use one over the other is when you're using the 6,000, the slower one in the middle, that's gonna be more for your fading because then it's not chopping away at the hair so quickly. It's a little bit slower, so when you are fading, you get a nice slower cut versus like it moving so fast, it chops up the hair. That 7,000 RPM is gonna make sure that it's gonna grind through any type of texture. So just to keep it simple, 6,000 in the middle, great for fading, and as you bump it up to the speed of 7,000, that's gonna be great for removing bulk. Have a listen, 6,000, and then 7,000. Another great thing is that you have this 4 LED indicator light. It tells you in quarters how much power is left, so you'll always know. One thing about the FX3 that I loved even from the X2 is the serrated blades. The X2 blade was actually a little bit thicker right here in this spot. So on the X3, we actually made it thinner. So this is gonna be really great for fading because it's gonna be similar to like a flat fade blade as you're working through your haircut. Another cool feature is a lot of people had trouble zero gapping the X2, but with the X3, we made it just like our skeleton trimmers, if any of you guys own that. Once you pop the blade open, you'll see 2 similar screws, just like the skeleton clips on both sides. It'll come with a little screwdriver again, where you can loosen that, push this blade up to where you want it, and then set it back. The only difference of adjusting this X2 versus like the skeleton clippers is that you have to adjust this, put this back in, and then push this all the way up so you can actually see it. But when you take this off, this is going to readjust back to its open position. So that's why you have to kind of adjust and then set it back in just to see where it's lined. And how the way I see it lined is I always want to make sure that I'm looking at it from both directions. So I'm going to look at it from a tilt on this side, and then I look at it again on this side to make sure I have a nice clean line all the way across. Now if you guys look really closely here, you'll be able to see how close I've adjusted this blade. It almost looks completely flush with the black, but the black is barely sitting underneath that gold blade, but that's kind of what my zero gap looks. And usually this is kind of how I prefer all of my tools to be set. And straight out the box, that's usually the time I spend the most on them, is just setting them right. So by the time that I do use them, everything is ready to go. On a full charge, this clipper has a 5-hour run time, which is incredible. That means you can get a lot of haircuts with this, especially if if you make a good habit out of it and you turn your clippers on and off in between when you're not using it. It allows you to really save that power. Also, you have an optional hanging hook. I don't have it here with me at the moment, but you'll have 2 different size hanging hooks, and you can you just squeeze those little metal ends, and it pops in right here, so you can have a hanging hook if your station has one of those, has the hooks underneath for storage, then you probably will want that hanging hook. Another improvement that has been made is the guard system. If you guys remember the old X2 guards, they look like this. They're pretty flat still. So this is the 0.5. Let me show you the new 0.5 so you guys can see the difference. So this is the new and improved X3 guard. Slightly different shapes. But here on the back, this is an important part because this is the old one, right? So if you notice here on the sides, there's no second contact point. But if you look over here, you see these little hooks right here. This allows it to stay on and clip on even better than these old ones did. Another thing is that over time, these do tend to get loose, especially if you zero gap. But with these, we've made them adjusted, so if you do gap your blades, it won't eat at those edges anymore, so it won't loosen up the blade. Somebody else asked if you can put that old guard on this, if you can put the old guard on the X3. I actually haven't tried till this moment, so we'll find out together. So here's the old one. It definitely does not fit. It doesn't even clip at all. It's actually a little bit bigger. So the old guards will not work. So remember that these have the second contact point, right? Instead of clipping it on the old way like this, where it's just you do this end piece and then you snap the back. In this case, you're going to slide this a little bit over and then you're gonna click it into place. And it's on pretty sturdy, so this is gonna be really nice for a lot of you guys who have trouble with guards flying off. This is probably the most secure setup of guards I've actually ever used. So again, let's try that one more time. Let's try it with a bigger guard. Here's a number 2. Here's number 2, we'll try this one the same way. Okay, we're gonna slide this over, pop that on. It's an adjustment at first, but you get used to it pretty quickly. And it's on there. Let me show you something a little different of why I was drawn to the X2 in the beginning. The 1.5 that most people are familiar with is something that looks like this, right? This is like your typical 1.5. In the wall one, you get like a white one, right? So we have this black one here and it's a universal fit. So check this out. So this is a typical 1.5. And if you look at it from the side, you know, it's a little bit thicker. So when it comes to the 1.5 on the X2 or the X3, the guard system is a lot more flatter. So look at this difference here of the 1.5 in the regular guard and a 1.5 in the X2 or the X3. It's pretty slim, and I like using this. This one has a steeper ridge, and this one has more of a flat ridge, which I really love. So when I'm fine tuning and detailing, I find myself loving the tightness of this blade here, the X2 or the X3 blade. Really awesome job that they did with this. It is, again, I said it's an adjustment having that second contact point, but it makes a huge difference in knowing that your guards will not be flying off while you're like going fast through a haircut. The vibrations of this clipper is not so heavy, and in times of the past when I've used clippers that are super heavy that have higher vibration, after a long day of work, it usually wears out my hand a little bit. So having something with like a lower vibration actually helps the health of my hand not feel so tight at the end. To the point, because there's been times I remember working with super heavy clippers, at the end of the day I just feel like my muscles are really tight. So I try to always find something lightweight for my wrist and also low vibration. So that is all the main parts of the clipper. Let's go into the trimmer. This is the new FX3 matching trimmer. Same power button here, same 4 indicator lights, so you always know the battery power and how much is left. 1 speed, and now it's a higher speed, 7,200 RPMs. A motor that has also more torque in it. 360 exposed blade, we kept that the same. And also similar to the skeleton, you have the cutoff body here that allows you to have that free space to really get into the tight spaces around someone's facial hair. Everyone loves our skeleton trimmers. This has been a bestseller in every single color. I want you guys to notice something different here. The angle of the new FX3 trimmer is actually higher. Now, if you look at this, I'm standing both of them as straight as I can, and this one has a higher angle up. So what's really good about that is when you are using this for a lineup, right? This is typically the position you'd be in. And if you look at the angle of the blade, if you're flat to somebody's head, this blade is diving down a little bit, right? And this is gonna be your normal position. You're not gonna really cut this way. It's like a weird angle. You're usually gonna press all the way down this way. So if you look at the angle, it's tilting downward. Now, because this is a higher angle up, as you do in the same position, look how much more leveled that blade is. So what that means is, as you're doing edge ups, this blade is going to lay flat exactly where you zero gapped it. That angle is just a lot more natural and it's straight. It's just a small little feature, but it should make a huge difference in the way that it lines. I actually never paid attention to those angles, but now seeing it, it makes a lot of sense, and just seeing where the blade actually sits. Is that both of these tools can be used corded or cordless. Both of these tools, FX3 and the X2, are dual voltage. So when you are in Europe and you're using it, it'll actually automatically switch. That's a really cool feature, because sometimes I feel like we're always looking for some sort of adapter to change the voltage on our tools so that they don't explode. And if you're a traveler like me, this is a pretty cool feature. Next, power cords. The X3 and the trimmer will be different plugs, as you can tell from the bottom here. You have an optional hanging hook. There's 2 different size hanging hooks that'll come, and you can insert that right here if you would like that feature. Last but not least, our new FX3 foil shaver. High rotary motor with 10,000 RPMs. I believe this is our fastest foil shaver yet, and it's about half the weight of our metal one. Very powerful, 3-hour runtime. So another cool feature is the automatic shut-off cap. You can put on in any direction, and it'll turn off the same way. Definitely always need a cap for something like this, because if you are traveling or going anywhere mobile, the one thing you need to protect is those foil blades. You don't want them to rip. They're very sensitive. So having a sturdy cap is a must-have. This will allow you to pop the top off so you can clean the inside. Power button over here. Also the same here, the 4 LED battery indicator. This is a similar hanging hook that you'll get with your tools. So one looks like this, and one a super wide hook. So you get 2 options. All right guys, so that is the complete review I have for you on the new FX3 Trio. I hope you guys enjoyed it. The X2 has been part of my arsenal for a very long time. And the cool thing about having different clippers is that you give a different purpose to each of them. So for example, when I use any of the X2 or the X3, those are my bolt cutters, those are my guideline setters, and then I use my other clippers to kind of do the blend in between. But I am curious to see how this does with the fades, because I haven't used it yet on a fade. I've only done one haircut with it so far, doing clip over comb. And clip over comb on this type of clipper is phenomenal, because it's very equivalent to a metal detachable, where it's like super quick and sharp and it cuts through anything. Wet or dry hair, that's a really great tool to have, because, I forgot one last thing. If you pop this open, say you are cutting wet hair, and you pop this open and the hair builds up, it's closed off right here on the inside, so you're not gonna have to worry about the hair jamming up underneath, and it's really easy to clean. If you have any questions about tools, please feel free to let me know in the comments. Tools is something I obsess over. I love learning about the new things that are coming out, and I try my best to get the information out to you guys so you guys know what's coming and you know what to look for when you are buying your next set of tools. When it comes to barbering shows in the USA, there's only a few that actually cater more towards barbering than they do to the stylist world, and CT Barber Expo is one of the biggest ones. What's really important about going to these shows is that not only is it a great way to network with other people, it's a great way to learn education because you have so many great people there all at once doing different things. There's a lot of techniques you can pick up. I mean, I've been traveling with some of my guys now for the last 6 years, and there's still things that we all pick up off each other, and that could be just even in education, how we talk, how we teach. Like, you're able to pick a lot of those things and bring them back to you. I'm a huge believer of encouraging people to attend shows because you also get to learn about things that you might not have heard about or seen somebody use. And the only way we grow is by expanding our knowledge and putting ourselves out there to meet people, to learn about new tools, to learn about new techniques, so that all comes back to us. And the more we invest in ourselves, the more that we can grow within our craft. If you found value in this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It helps me a lot. And if you guys want to follow me on my social media channels, it's @StayGold31 on Instagram, @StayGold31 on TikTok. Thank you guys again for watching. I appreciate you. I hope this was valuable and informative. Make sure to also follow the company. I mean, they're always giving away clippers. One is the lifestyle page and one is the marketing page, but go ahead and follow both as they both do competitions and giveaways and contests @Babyliss Pro _barberology and @Babyliss for barbers. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.